Welcome back to the E-Forge Podcast, where overwhelmed operators become empowered leaders and where we forge businesses and legacies that last. I'm your host, Cory Long, and today we're diving into a topic that every entrepreneur, business owner, and leader needs to understand: the power of extraordinary events. Events grow communities. Events deepen relationships. Events create momentum that digital content simply can't match. And the person who has helped me create some of the most impactful events that I've been a part of, both for my DSF community and for the Magnify Your Wealth conference that I just did, is my guest today, Meredith Sweeto. Meredith is one of the sharpest, most resourceful, and most connected events planners that I have ever met. She has a gift for taking vision and turning it into something people remember long after it's over.
No, we're just going to go.
Yeah. We're about to die. Yeah. So give people an idea. You and I were just talking about, you grew up in Canada.
I did.
And then ended up in San Diego. You've done all kinds of things through the years. The event planning is something that apparently you've done for a long time.
Yes.
And then you shifted gears kind of through the whole COVID thing when events kind of went bye-bye overnight.
Good natural place to grow up. I came here in my teens, acclimated very quickly. The weather here is amazing. I get embarrassed when I say it's cold when it's 55 degrees. And I've been here for 30 some years. And I got into the event space. I think it was 2006 or 2007. I was working for an internet marketing company, and I was a project manager. I think I worked in the affiliate department. And their business model, like a lot of businesses, was to have 2 or 3 times a year, we held a fulfillment event. Really, it was just, we had sales, of course, but the main goal was to just fulfill, reach our clients, connect with our clients, build our brand. So anyway, they brought in, like a lot of events do, and like I still do with clients, I like to bring in the team. I can hire out a full event staff, but I prefer to have the client's team on there who are on the front line, who are on the phone calls with these people. And I was one of those people back in 2006, 2007 and doing those events. And I remember coming out of them, and they were 16-hour days. Everyone thinks, event producer is such a fun, glamorous job. It's rough. It's rough on the team.
Rough.
It's long days. It can be very stressful. And I would walk out of those days thinking, I love this.
Yeah.
I love every single thing about this. I love this energy. And there weren't a lot of us that were feeling that way after 3 or 4 of those days.
Yeah.
So 2008, a lot of people got laid off. This company laid off about 75% of their workforce. I was one of those people. But greatest thing that's ever happened to me, because I had some time to say, hey, what do I want to do? What do I want? I look at everything as an opportunity. I don't look at it as bad things happening to me in life. And I took that as, okay, what do I want to do with this? Where do I want to pivot? And like you said, I've done that since then. But I pivoted. I found the event producer that they were working with. And I said, hey, I'll work for you for free. And I wasn't 20 years old. I think I was 35.
Yeah.
You've got a year of me. I'll work for free. Let me learn everything you do, because I really love this industry. And so I did. And she brought me on as her assistant for many years. I still do work with her on occasion. We're now colleagues. But that's how I dove into that world. And then eventually, was hired on by other clients, and then built my own business. I did have Sweeto events for, I think, 10 years until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I'm large scale events for the most part. I do some smaller masterminds and whatnot, but I'm large scale events, and my business died overnight. I don't like to sit still very often, as you know, Cory.
Yeah, you don't sit still at the event at all. You're always moving. Yeah.
That's my operating system. So I like to work, I like to move, and the real estate's booming here. It's booming here all the time anyway, but especially during COVID. And so I got my real estate license. I jumped into that. I've been doing that. I love that as well. But there's still a huge part of my brain and my makeup that loves to do events. So I've kept a few clients. You're one of them, and good clients, good heart-centered clients that are doing good things are important to me.
Yeah.
And so now I've diversified between, I've got real estate, yes, but I also have, the love of my life, which are events. And I get to keep those and spread them out throughout the year and put that into play.
You,
a long-winded back.
No, it was great because I think getting to see all of the entrepreneurs that we talk with and I've had on the podcast and that you and I both know, like a lot of these entrepreneurs that we know, they've had to pivot. They've had to change sometimes whole careers. They've had to change whole focuses. And I think it's really good for the listeners to be able to see that, like, we all go through that. There are times in life when things just end and we have to go, okay, now what? Right. And you kind of found something that you love to do, and you're amazing at it, by the way. I told when Megan and them, we were talking to them about doing the Magnify Your event, Magnify Your Wealth. I told Megan, I was like, you need a Meredith. And she goes, who's Meredith? And I go, let me introduce you to Meredith. Like, you need somebody that can come in, because people don't realize how difficult an event is. And you and I have talked about, I put a lot of events on through the years for my boot camp thing that I did before digital storefronts, and then with the digital storefronts event, and then we turned it into Ignite, and we do regional events now. We do all kinds of different, and I want to grow that more. I think too, by the way, as AI is kind of coming up and doing more and more and more, I think events are going to be even more important. I think they're going to become bigger. I think you're going to have more opportunity with events. I think people are going to look for opportunities to rub shoulders and hug necks and shake hands. And I think there's going to be a huge opportunity for any entrepreneurs that want to do events out there, because I think it's coming that direction. But you take care of everything. And I didn't understand that until we brought you in for our first event. I hated dealing with the hotel. I hated having to put all the pieces together, figure out where the speakers were, make sure everything. And you have your own language that you use for these things. So walk people through. I know you were talking about the psychology of an event earlier. Like, walk people through, like, what does that look like? Because it's a lot.
It is a lot. And you have to love it.
Yeah.
Or else it's just going to bring a real negative energy to the entire thing. So yes, there's absolutely logistics. There's 36-page contracts, which I've had to put in front of your face and say, I promise you, I've looked through every single line of this thing, and here's the bottom line. There's logistics, there's timings, there's all of those things that can be accomplished by they can be accomplished by a team member. What I like to marry is, so the logistics, of course, to the strategy. I really like to have a strategy. I really like to be intentional, to support whatever the goal is. The goal might just be brand awareness. The goal might be connecting with your clients. The goal might be sales. So that's usually the first question I ask a client. What is your ultimate goal for this event? And then I tailor my strategy around that. So it's not just what food are they eating, and where are the bathrooms, and what time are the breaks. It's the entire show. And I do kind of insert myself, if allowed, into the entire show of what's happening on stage. But I do believe it starts with the very first email. How is your first impression? How is your communication leading up to the event? Are people frustrated? Can they get a hold of people easily? Are they being, reverted to customer service in another country? Are they, it starts from the very, for me, an event starts with the very first email offering the event.
Right.
It goes through all the way to communication, expectations of the event, I think, is big, and setting the right expectations, setting the right tone, so that when people are actually showing up to your event, they know what they're there for. They have some certainty. They have trust, which is really important, that they trust you walking into that event. And then the front lines of people at registration are just, I always say, I want big smiley faces.
Yeah.
Which, I was born with one of those, but I like to put big, shiny, happy, warm, welcome faces up front, to bring people into the event. And then I translate through that the whole way through, from everything from the show. It's I like people to feel a certain way when they leave the event, and I like them to feel like they trust the client, they feel certainty with the client, and they feel valued.
Yeah.
And so there's a warmth that you actually have to interject to that as well. That makes the event as a whole a really successful thing that the attendees are walking away with, and the client. You and your team. This is a real opportunity for you and your team to bond and to spend a few days. It's almost like a crazy retreat.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of clients and their teams really get closer and more invested as a whole when they see these things come together. So it's so multifaceted that there's a lot that you need to be thinking about at all times.
I think one thing that was interesting, because we had done events for quite a few years, 100 to 200 people, usually at the events that I did. I was the one that handled the hotel. I got all of the stuff ready. We were booking restaurants for our VIPs, and that was a disaster. And then we try to figure out how to get them all there and book the charter bus and like all of the different pieces of the puzzle. What was fascinating to me when we started working with you, one is that was always your very first question was, what is the outcome? Like, what are you trying to achieve with the event? Which I think I had thought about that, but I hadn't really thought about that, not to the extent of what you were asking when we were kind of working on that first event together. And then that led us down the path of, okay, so what kind of music do we need? And you had us wait to open the doors and have high energy and high-fiving people coming in the door. Like, you had a whole different feel to what we were doing because of your experience, the things that you had established. Like you said, you're literally creating a feel of something because these people are spending time, money, energy to come and experience this, and they need to experience something. And so it was neat to watch you kind of be in the mix and the mesh of what you do, because you're right. Once you got there, you embedded yourself in the middle of it all. And all I had to do was show up for my talk, and it was amazing. Amazing.
Okay. So that is so important. And that is so important. Anyone who's ever on stage should never have to be worrying about logistics. I don't know how anyone can possibly put on, I don't know how they can give of themselves when they're worried about what's happening behind the scenes. So that's also something that I'm really, really big on, is making sure all the talent, and not only the talent on stage, but like, who are the CFOs and what do they have going on, and who is plugging away at social media. And there's a lot of big players that I want to make sure they're not worried about a single thing happening behind the scenes. I want them focusing on what they do best, so that they can give to their attendees and they can feel that. When I just worked with Aaron Young, we were getting to know each other, and we were on the call with Megan, and I said, now, do you need a place backstage to kind of retreat and have to your own? And Megan said, oh, great, we're going to start treating him like a diva now, right? And I said, no, this isn't about egos, although sometimes it is.
Yeah, sometimes
this is about where can he go, where he has, his own back entrance, where he doesn't have to talk to people, not because he's better than them, but so he doesn't get bogged down. Where can he go use the restroom on his own? Yeah. Where can he have his own private space, eat some lunch? Because, hosting an event, this, it's a lot of energy. You're giving your heart, your soul, your time, your presentations. I really am protective of my clients' energy. Yeah. And once we usually work together, then, at first people are sizing me up, and is anything, is the ball going to drop? What's happening here and there? And usually by midday on day one, my clients can realize, okay, I don't have to worry about that stuff. And I can just focus on delivering the best content that I need to give these people.
Yeah, it was funny to me, the very first event, you were going, okay, what do you want for lunch? And I'm going, what do you mean, what do I want for lunch? And you're going, yeah, here's your options. And I'm going, wait, you're going to take care of it? Like, it's all those little things like that I had to make decisions, and I had to make sure that it was all done. And then you would make sure that we were set apart somewhere to where we had a little downtime, because you have to be when you're the guy holding the event, everybody wants a piece of you at that event. And it wears you out. And I think that was kind of an interesting shift for me, because in the past, I would have to be on for 2 days straight. I was doing every piece of the puzzle. We would show up early. We'd make sure all the room was set up right. You don't think about those things until you have to do an event. And I think having somebody else there that just handles it. All I got to do is just go do my thing.
All you have to do is go serve.
Yes.
And I think that you have the full capacity to serve when there isn't all that other stuff on your plate.
I agree. And you guys, so something that I've learned about Meredith, this has kind of been interesting to watch. You can hire her to find the venue, to find all of the resources, to bring in the team for AV, for what, like, I think that's one of the things that I didn't understand is how, like, I could literally hand it off to you and go, here's what I want to do. Here's where, like, here's the city that I want to do it in. Here's the time frame. And you can just go run with it. That was a new concept to me. I didn't understand that.
I can do both. So there's some people who are like, hey, we've been booking the venue for the last 15 years. We know how to do that. There's some people who have been doing things in my position, like you said, I've got to be able to pivot and accommodate. And so I prefer to do it start to finish because I have more control. I know what spaces I'm getting. I know contracts. I can negotiate you a better I usually save people money when I get a hold of the contract. But I also am fine jumping in where somebody's at. I'm fine being just the day of, like, hey, just come in and just be the day of. It depends on people's budgets. It depends on, there's so much backstory to where people are coming to me from.
Sure.
But generally, I think I work best when you said, here's what we want. Here's the goal. Here's what we want to spend. Here's what we want to make in sales.
Yeah.
Go make it happen. And those are actually my favorite clients.
Well, you made me think through like what the structure of the flow was. You made me like, I never really like, yes, we thought about it, and yes, we had a plan, but not in the way that you kind of organized the thought process of, okay, let's do this flow today so that as we set up day 2 for ourselves or whatever it is, that we end on that high note.
Yes.
And then make it really easy for the person that's setting out there to be able to purchase or engage or connect or I don't know, whatever it is. And those little bits and pieces along the way that like we need to get a picture here, or we need to do a video here. And you would just make sure that somebody was magically there to go do the thing, or a microphone needed to be handed off, and you don't think about those things until you're in the middle of the thing, whereas you're already planning it. That was something that was, I'm not a super detailed guy, as you found out working with me. That is just not I'm a visionary guy. I'm the big picture. Like, I love that piece. I do not like getting into the weeds. You're great at the details. And I think that was what was exciting, is having somebody to be able to come in and just go, okay, and then it's all just done. Just didn't have to think about it, which was just huge. Just out of curiosity, I know you've worked with the marketing world because that's kind of my world. What all kinds of events have you done in the past? I'm just kind of curious.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, you know what I don't love are weddings. Everyone always
Let's start with that. Everyone
calls me a party planner, and they think I'm a wedding coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's not my ideal client. My ideal client are usually entrepreneurs, business development, personal development. I have assisted some events with Tony Robbins. Here's a fun one. I love to do destination masterminds. I find when you take people to anyone can throw you in a conference room. And there's actually a balance of, you don't want to lose people to too many outside distractions, but I also like to get people out of a conference room and out of a hotel ballroom with no windows and get them outside and see. If we're in neat cities, why wouldn't we want to, I've done a lot of events in Napa. How fun is that? Let's take them out for wine tasting. Let's take them to those Michelin rated restaurants. So yes, generally business development, personal development, and some, some spiritual retreats.
Sure.
I run the whole gamut, but not a lot of parties.
Like, you can help piece all of that together because I know that's I talk to people about events all the time. I was talking to a guy last week. They're going to spend $1.2 million on the event they're about to hold. That to me seemed like an excess. That seems like a lot of money to spend on an event. I don't know. I've only done events what I've done events. Like,
yes. Can you throw $1 million event? Absolutely. The Kardashians do it all the time. And I know businesses do as well. But I also want people to understand you don't have to.
Yeah.
You really don't. You don't even have to come close to that figure. I've had plenty of clients who were starting out, who were had really small budgets. And there are so many creative ways. One, you got to negotiate your venue contract.
Yeah.
So you got to have a professional there, because they're going to actually probably pay for themselves and save you money, because that's a big business, and they can take a lot of money from you if you don't know how to negotiate.
Yeah, when you spend $700 for a gallon of coffee or
more, yeah, it's really bad. So
yeah.
But there's so many ways of, like I said, making people feel connected to your brand, supporting sales, part of your company. You don't have to spend a lot of money. There is some overhead. There's the venue, there's sound and whatnot, but there are so many ways to do this that are still really a good impression of you as a client, without, you don't have to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
there are ways.
We spent under $100,000 for the event you did for us. And you know, it's interesting because when we first started doing events, I could get a ballroom for 100 to 150 people, or not a ballroom, but like a room for 100, 150 people for $1,000 to $1,500 a day. I don't know that that's the figure anymore, but when we first started, that, like, we could do that, and it was. I know the ballrooms and some of that stuff's great, and stages and stuff are great, but even on the stuff that we did that you helped us with, you helped make the stage feel full, and you were pulling plants from like parts of the hotel and going, I think this would look great. And the hotel's like, yeah, we'll move it. And they're putting plants up on the stage. And there's ways to make things happen. Like you said, I think a lot of people that maybe listen are like, well, I can't afford that. I had not heard of anybody doing something like at 1.2 mil. I was going, oh my goodness. Now, this is a business event. He's having huge speakers come in. Yeah. I know he's paying some big dogs. Like, there's 6 basic huge keynotes. And give people an idea too, because I know you told me before, if you have something like you want a keynote or you want a speaker, you've got connections to be able to go run down, like people that are specific to something too.
Yes. And I like connecting businesses together too.
Yeah.
It can be, I guarantee you that client is spending the bulk of their money on their speakers. But yeah, I mean, I like to also connect companies together that, hey, this would be a really good person to have on your stage, and vice versa. I mean, like I'm saying, there's the $1 million event and everything in between, to where you're trading speaking times, which is, again, so it's all strategic. How profitable would it be for you to be on somebody else's stage of an audience that you don't know, doing it for free with a whole new audience that don't know you yet, and to have them speak on your stage and deliver value to all of your clients. So there's ways of doing that as well. So I like, my relationships are very important to me, and how I put people together. And some people just cost money, and some people like to do it with that mentality of like, let's trade stages.
Yeah, I'm curious. Just give me an idea of what you've seen speaker, like some of these A-listers come in. Like, what do they charge? I'm curious. What's kind of the price ranges that you've seen for speakers to come in?
I've seen trades. I've seen $5,000. I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay. I was curious. Like, I know we had a lister we were looking at. They were like, if you'll buy $40,000 or $50,000 worth of books, we'll come in. Like, a lot of them do that kind of thing where if you'll buy my books, then I'll come speak at your event. Or it surprised me, like, all the different ways that guys do that. Yeah.
You can be very creative with how you get people on your stage.
Yeah,
and I've seen some really big names come on stage for free.
Yeah.
Really big names come on stage for free for not such a big name, just because of the personal relationships. And
it's because of speaking on stage and being just, I have learned the more authentic I can just be me, the better we are. And I'm guessing that you've seen that across the events that you've done, just like the one you just talked about.
Well, I got to tell you that, I have seen people present themselves a certain way on stage and then go behind the curtain and be just completely different people.
Yeah.
And it's really disheartening. And I fell in love with your team and your company and your organization right away, because who I saw on stage was the exact same guy that I saw in stressful situations. That's also a telling time when you can see people's true colors come out. And it was so lovely. And yeah, I'll always do events for you because of that.
Well, there's plenty of stressful situations in an event.
Like, there are. Yeah. And how you handle those is very telling.
You have to be ready for it.
It's such a old adage, but I still do love and I still do stand by and believe in people will forget what you said. Yeah. People will forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And the events, I think the first event we did together, we were kind of, the idea was to create raving fans. We wanted just people to walk away with tons of value, to really experience something huge. And we had such good feedback from the things that you had put into place to make that happen through the event. Little things, even things like the walk-on music and little pieces of the puzzle that we really hadn't thought about or used or put into play before. But once we kind of saw the effects of that, and the feedback that we got was just really, really good from everyone. So that was exciting. Yeah.
Well, like you said, every single piece of an event plays a part. Like you said, the walk-on music. What is that saying? What is that song? What is that energy saying about the person that's walking up on stage?
Yeah.
There is so much psychology to events. And, if you've got sales, you don't want to wait. If you've got a sales table in the back of the room, here's a little tidbit. You don't want the first time that they come to you to be at the first sale.
Yeah.
You want to start, come get your free book at the back of the table. Come drop your questions off at the back of the table. You want people getting very comfortable with smiling, engaging, happy faces at your back sales table from the minute that walk in. So and that makes it we're a lot more approachable at the back sales table when that happens. So I often have come to the back table and pick up your notebook, whatever way I can get people to be engaging with the front line of the salespeople to where they're not so intimidated and they know that they're not just after their money, but they actually also want to give, is supportive of sales events too. So there's so many little pieces like that I plug into a show to make sure that it's a huge puzzle. Together.
Most of the guys that I know that put on events, they don't do the event itself to make money. Mm-hmm. That was something that's been very interesting to me, that most of them realize that they're either going to break even or they might make a little bit. Like we've made a little bit on the events we've done through the years. We've also lost money on events that we've done through the years. What's a good rule of thumb of, like, when you're planning an event, you're thinking about an event and the budget and all of that, are there some tactics or strategies to think through ahead of time, especially if they're going to do some kind of a, like you just said, a back end sell on the, because you and I talked about this even for our event. We were doing one offer, and it was a big mama jama offer. Like, it was way bigger than we'd ever done in an event. We ended up selling 0 of those offers. We knew that might happen with the audience that we had. I have since sold some of this at that level, right? But not at the event. So is there advice or thoughts that you have when people are kind of thinking through that process?
Yes. And I would be curious if those clients that eventually did become your high level clients weren't going through your system from start to end, including some of those events.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I like people to think as well, is sure, we can make dollars and cents. There's always ways to recoup on ticket sales. There's always ways to recoup or somewhat recoup the money that you put in, if not exceed, if not come up ahead. But what I like people to think is, did this event lend to these people feeling more of a part of your community, more engaged, have more trust in you, having eyes on you, having connected with you, to where they say 6 months later, oh, wow, I do want to be part of that $20, $30, $100,000, elite membership program. And most times, a lot of times, that's what clients are doing, is they're doing that event for the long game, not for the short game.
Yeah, I definitely know that there are, even at the event that we just did, even though it wasn't my event, I was able to speak. I was on stage some. It was as you know, half of the audience wasn't even really there for what we were doing, which was kind of weird, but it worked out. Yeah. In fact, one of them I was on a call with yesterday, that he came for that audience, which was not the entrepreneur audience. And yet he's now a client of mine. And he had his kids over here yesterday meeting with me about their business, and then he wants to have his other kids meet with me about just because I spent time with him at the event and I got to know him personally. There's not very many activities that we can do as a business owner that create that environment to where we can spend that kind of time, truly get to know somebody to where there's like no trust, and then them see you as the marketing guy or the whatever it is that you're trying
authority in your field. Yeah. I think that's why we had such when live events opened back up after COVID, you couldn't book a hotel room for 2 years.
Yeah.
You couldn't a hotel space for 2 years because people were dying to get back in touch with each other and shake hands and look people in the eye. And there is an energy that no software can ever duplicate, and a trust and a relationships that get built in those. Before I forget, you mentioned something, and I do want to touch on it. You mentioned you were mentoring or helping out some kids and kids, you probably mean like 20-year-olds.
Yeah. College students.
Students. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite things is seeing, did you notice there was a few teenagers at this last Next by Your Wealth? It's one of my favorite things ever to see. And I think it is such a service that we do, or a disservice not bringing them.
Yeah.
I love seeing parents bring their teenagers to business events. First, sometimes their eyes might glaze over. They might want to be checking their phone, but I'm seeing most of them engage, and I am always running right up to them and encouraging them. Do you have any idea what a leg up and what an education you are getting right now above the rest of the kids who are playing on their Xbox?
But they're having a blast, and they're traveling all over doing this. They've done weddings now. They've done catering for birthdays and parties, and he's growing his little business. And I love to see. I'm with you. Like, bring the kids. Let's teach them. Let's figure out how they can grow their businesses, and I love it. Yeah, and events are a great way for them to get exposed to new thoughts, new ideas, things that they probably would never be around in their regular world.
So I would say that to anyone who's like, oh, do I need to do an event or not? What I love about you, Cory, is I really do think of the word service when I think of you. And I do see your eyes light up like a Christmas tree over other people's successes, more so than your own. And those are the kind of people that I love. But when there's somebody who's like, what do I have to offer? What do I do at an event? You be authentic, and you serve and you help people. And there's actually, and there's nothing wrong with being compensated for that. That's the way you're able to continue to serve people. But there's no greater feeling than bringing someone up and watching them grow. And when you have experience and when you have, knowledge that not everybody has, why wouldn't you want to share that with people? There's so much abundance out there. We don't have to hoard it all for ourselves. I find I have way more opportunities, way more wealth, way more success when I'm freely giving it.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah, it's the scarcity mindset that affects so many people. And I know so many people right now are panicked about this or that or these or those. And I see events as right now, we are at the beginning stages of something, to me, that I think, especially regional events, events where you can be more intimate in a setting to where you can get higher learning.
Yes.
I think it's about to explode. I just think you're going to have way more opportunity with the way everything's kind of shifting. So tell everybody how, because you and I talked about this, you don't really have a website anymore.
Nope.
You don't really this has been a organic way for you to grow your business through the years. You've never really marketed. You never really had to do any of that stuff. You can only do so many events a year. And I know that you have some that are already preset. How would somebody get a hold of you though, and find out how I want you to do my event, or at least walk me through? Cause I know you do consulting for it.
Yes.
You do all kinds of things for events.
Yes.
Not just
I also know how to plug and play. Like if somebody says, look, I can't bring you out. The day rate's not going to work. Can you do some consulting and put together, I think you've seen my my run of shows, which is an 8-page master document with everything that needs to happen, to where if something happened to me and I got into a car accident, I couldn't make the event, somebody else could plug and play and take this thing and essentially go, to try to run this event themselves. So Yes, to get a hold of, it's funny, we were laughing about that. I have zero.
I started trying to find you. I could barely find you online.
You got nothing. I'm like an undercover agent. But it's because there's not a lot of us there's just not a lot of my position out there. There's not a lot of people who either can do it and love it, or there are people who love it and can't do it. So to have both, it's very limited. Every single client I've ever gotten has been through a referral. So I am kind of a ghost in the event world. You can absolutely find me on Meredith Sweeto on all the social media platforms. You can always reach out to Cory to get a hold of me directly. My phone number is not a secret. He can, anyone that goes through Cory is 100% have access to me. And I'd love to help in any capacity.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, because I know for me, having you available opened my eyes to so many other opportunities, because I have to be honest, like, I just got burnt out. I didn't even want to think about doing another event, because I was going, man, it's by the time we do it and the ramp up period and the months leading up to it. And then, like you said, after you're done, when it's just you doing it, your team doing, for me, my experience was I would have to take 2 weeks off just to recover, because I would just I would way overexpend myself. And then I was paying for it for a few weeks after, which many times is that's your key time to follow up and make sure that everybody's taken care of and make sure that people got what they were wanting out of the event and, the whole goal of the event in the first place.
And not only your clients, but your family and your loved ones. Like, how much are they paying for, or not having access to you, or having you be running at half steam and being snappy and tired? That's not fair to our families either. So bring someone in that'll alleviate, their events are still always going to be a lot of energy. They're a lot of work. But if you can bring someone in to support you and hold you up, I think it makes a big difference in my clients' lives as a whole. If that makes sense.
No, I totally 100% agree with everything you just said. Because for me, it was a life-changing moment to have you come in with the DSF event and help us to make Ignite something. And we literally created a brand, an event, and everything out of thin air that year. And you helped to bring it kind of to life. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the excellence, professionalism, passion that you bring to every event you touch. Guys, anyone who works with you, especially right now, quickly realizes that they're not just hiring a planner. They really, truly partner with someone who cares deeply about people, purpose, and experience. If you're listening right now, you're planning an event, small or large, you heard her say, like it could be a regional event, it could be consulting, whatever. Reach out to Meredith, whether it's through me, whether it's finding her on social media. She will save you time, stress, and costly mistakes, and she'll turn your event into something that's truly unforgettable. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with someone who needs a world-class event planner in their corner. And until next Thursday, keep going forward, stay aligned with your calling, keep building a business with purpose and kingdom impact, because this is the forge where leaders are made and legacies are built.